Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Check out this time capsule we got here. This is a 1979 Honda Twinstar 200cc. It's a street bike, a little different than the rest of the bikes I'm doing on the channel. But this belongs to a friend of a friend's, and I guess it's been sitting for about 34 years. The last time this thing was on the road, I was registered in 1990. So luckily though, it's been indoors most of that time, I think all the time, because really there's no rust on it at all. It looks just coated in heavy dust and cobwebs, as you can see. It's gonna need a good clean, and that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna give it a power wash, get a closer look at everything. I mean, even the chrome's in good shape. It's just got a little bit of surface rust, nothing major. Look at all the cobwebs on there. So she's been sitting for a while. There's the proof, the last registration, 1990. Looks like it's got about a little over 14,000 miles on it. Don't know what the inside of the tank looks like yet. Still gotta open that up. But judging by the rest of it, it's probably just gonna need a good cleaning along with the carburetor. We'll get that taken off. Other than that though, really I think it's just gonna be a matter of going through the fuel system and getting a new battery, probably replacing the tires. He's probably gonna want different tires on here, as I'm sure they're pretty dry rotten being that old. But you can see the exhaust is in good shape. Usually these are rusted out. It's pretty solid. Turns over. I'm not gonna do that a whole lot. Just wanna get some oil down in the spark plug hole there. Just get some lubrication in there, because I'm sure it's been a while. I'm sure I don't need a new battery. Rims don't have much rust on them. I think really it's just, this stuff's gonna clean up really good with a power wash. But yeah, first things first, we'll get a good look at everything, assess everything, clean it up, and then start hunting spark and see if we can get it to fire up. So I'm gonna pull the power washer out and we'll give it a good bath, and that way we can get a good close look at everything, and we got a clean slate to work with when we start tearing into it. Here we go. All right, well, she came out pretty clean after that power wash. Not bad for a 45-year-old bike. You see the paint's in pretty good shape. Just a couple scratches here and there. No dents. Side panels are all still good shape. Just a couple little scuffs here and there. Chrome can use a little polish, but she's gonna look nice once it's all done. So let's get this thing inside and start tearing into it. Put some oil down the spark plug holes, and probably get the old oil out of there and stuff too. But first we'll check for spark and do all the normal stuff. Get a look, see if we can get a look inside this tank here too. So all right, I'm gonna pull this in and get started. All right, we got it inside here. Before we start tearing into it here, just gonna do some of the basic check overs, check oil, air box, that kind of stuff. And then we're gonna check for spark. I'm gonna start by opening up the, pull the spark plug out, get some oil down the cylinders, and turn it over slowly, get some lubrication on those rings, and we'll start kicking it over to see if we can get any spark out of it. Start on the right side here, get this plug out. Get some oil down in the cylinder. It's running a little rich. That's a NGK C7HSA, little tiny plugs. Put a little 10W40 down there. Go around to the other side and do the same thing. Plugs are real easy to get to, which is nice. I'm willing to bet this isn't going to take much to get going, just by the look at the, looking at the rest of the bike, how everything's still so clean and taken care of. It looks like it's never been messed with. It's just been probably parked inside, taken care of that way. So I think just cleaning out the carburetor and getting the fuel tank cleaned out. We don't know what that's like on the inside yet, but I don't think it's going to take much. But good old reliable Honda craftsmanship. Alright, so we got oil down both cylinders. And next up, I'm just going to crank it over slowly with the Kickstarter. And make sure everything's fluid, and then we'll start looking for the spark. Kicks over nice and smooth. Alright, I'm going to put a plug back in here and put the ignition to on. We're going to see if we get any spark. Get this to sit in a spot. Okay, ignition is on. Let me get you zoomed in on that plug. Let me try to hold it right there, maybe. So I'm not seeing spark. So I'm wondering if this one needs the battery to be fully charged, or have some charge in at least before it'll give any kind of spark. Let me check the other side just to see. Maybe these plugs are bad. I'll try the other plug before I do that. Let's try this one. I do have the kill switch in the run position too, so key on. Oh, wait a minute. That's park, okay. Yeah, keys in the on position. I got the kill switch in the run position. Yeah, I'm not seeing spark on that one either. So I'm thinking that battery might need a charge on it before it'll give spark. One thing I'm easily overlooking is the points. I'm going to get a look at them under this cover here. I'm going to pop this off and see if I can get the contact points cleaned up a little bit, and maybe that'll solve the sparking issue. The impact screwdriver on this one. Oh, I didn't even need that. Didn't even need the bead on it. Okay. I might have some crud on there, so I'm going to get a little bit of sandpaper, some emery paper, and clean those off a little bit. Yeah, we get some junk off of those Those points for sure. All right, so we're still not getting any spark after cleaning the points off, so it's looking like this is going to need a charge to the battery to put some charge to the coils there and throw a spark. So I'm going to take a look at the battery next and see if I have one laying around. Maybe I can hook it up just to get some charge to it and see what happens then. So I did a quick search online, and from what I've seen, it looks like you do need to have charge to a battery to give charge to the coils, which will give the spark. So I'm going to pull this out. Maybe if I have another battery on hand, I could just put it, hook it up to the terminals just temporarily, just to get some charge, and we'll give it another go. See if we have spark. Original battery on here too. Got that old Honda emblem on there. I know they use the USAs or whatever, however you pronounce it. So it's probably an original battery to this bike. Considering it sat since 1990, it only was on the road for maybe 11 years, 10 years. I do have a freshly charged 6-volt that I got just barely hooked up to the terminals here to give some charge to the coil. And now that we got the points cleaned off, I'm going to give it a couple more kicks and see if we have any spark now. First, I'm going to come up, flip this into on. Oh, we got a light here too, so that's good. All right, so let me put the camera down by the plug and... Oh yeah, we got spark. All right, that's on the left cylinder. I'm going to check the right one next. All right, here's the right side. It's a little brighter on this side. You might not be able to see the spark as good, but let's try it. Oh yeah. Got good spark on that cylinder too. Awesome. But we're going to go through and clean up the fuel system here next, carburetor, and see if we can get a look at what it looks like inside the tank. All right, just out of curiosity, I'm going to see if I could pop the fuel cap off and see if we can get a look at what the tank looks like on the inside. It's on there pretty good. Probably get a pair of channel locks on that. See if I can pop that free. Feels crusty. Oh wow. It looks pretty clean. Let me get a flashlight, see if I can get a better look at that. Wow, that's pretty clean. Luckily, it looks like this was probably drained before it was parked. So I don't even see like sludge at the bottom of that either. That looks really clean. That's awesome. All right. I'm going to check the oil next. Well, we got oil on the dipstick. Doesn't look like it's real black. It looks pretty new, actually. Let me get this thing stood straight up and get a reading on. We're going to drain that regardless. I just want to get a look at that now. And I guess we'll move on next to, let's take a look at the air filter and see what that looks like. Just pops off. Oh, cool. We got a little tool pouch here, or a owner's manual, I should say. It's not really a tool pouch. Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow. Sweet. Cool. It's all there. 1979 owner's manual. Read before you ride. Alright, looks like I got two 10s on here. I'll pop this off real quick. We'll get a look at the air filter. Let's see what's left of this filter. Ooh. Yeah, we got a little mouse nest in there, I think. Oh yeah. That filter is just disintegrating as you touch it, so that's gonna need replaced. Let's see, how does this come out of here? Okay, that pops off, and this must come out like that. Oh yeah, I got a little mouse in here. Okay. Oof. Yummy. Look at that, just falling apart. Just crumbling like sand. Look at that. Sheesh. Let me get this off of here. We'll get a vacuum on that. Well, the vacuum made quick work of that. It just disintegrated right off the cage here, so obviously going to need a new air filter element, and we'll be good to go after that. So aside from having the owner's manual in that little pouch on behind the side cover, it also has service records dating back to, I think this is the early 80s. Yeah, 82 for this one. This one here I think was later on, but check out the prices on some of that stuff. Inspection for $10, 2 quarts of oil for $3.20, fork fluid $1. This is back in early 80s, I'd say 83, 82. This one doesn't have a date, but I'm gonna guess it's probably right around these other ones. Looks like the battery was replaced in this at one point in 1982. This one here, inspection. It's got the oil change, it looks like again. Clutch plates look like they were done at one point. 17 bucks, less than $20 for clutch. That's nuts. Inspection, $10. I looked up this place too, Leonardi Brothers. I find no record of them, so they've probably been closed a long time. I don't know if anybody watching has heard of that dealership or if it was a garage or what. I'm gonna guess it was probably like a service station. But I did a Google search, couldn't find anything on them. I did a search for that address, and ends up being, it looks like it was at once some kind of garage. This one here, interesting. Quit running, had to push, key is in the left side cover, siege on. So something happened back in 83. They had to push it back to the station. That was an inspection. Pretty cool. Also found the, I'm not going to show it because it has his address on it and stuff, but the original owner, the title transfer to the current owner, a friend of mine that I'm working on this for. So that was done in June of 85, it looks like, which is pretty cool. Like I said, I'm not going to show the rest of this transfer for the registration because it has addresses on it, but Look at the purchase price of this bike in '85 when he bought it. 200 bucks. It's crazy. All right, next up I'm gonna try to wrangle this carburetor off here. So I just got these two 10 millimeters here, and then the screw for the boot. I'll disconnect the choke cable and try to unscrew the slide. The slide is currently, or the throttle's stuck at least. So I'm assuming that slide's probably stuck in there. So let me get some of these nuts off. We'll see if we can twist it off to the side a little bit, and maybe get some penetrant oil down the slide here to get that freed up. Kind of nice when everything's not corroded together and rusty, and nice change of pace for once. Working on a nice clean bike like this. We'll get the choke cable out of the way. Get some heat on this boot here. It's kind of stiff. I don't want to tear that, obviously. So I'm just gonna get a heat gun and warm that up a little bit, so it should be a little bit more malleable, and I can hopefully just pull this back and not risk tearing anything here. So that's already helping a lot. Let's make it nice and soft. So this slide I don't think wants to budge. I'm gonna see if I can get this open at least. Let me get some lubricant down in there. See if we can work that free. Kind of see it from this angle here too. I'll use the heat gun on this too a little bit, just to get some heat down in there. Hopefully get that PB blaster worked in between the slide and the barrel here. Obviously don't want to hold the heat gun too close for too long, because there's little rubber gaskets and stuff in there. Don't want to melt anything. There we go. A little bit of heat. Pops right out. Yeah, we got some crud down in there. Let's get this carb opened up. Let's see what we got going on the inside. So at first glance here, I see that there is a pile of silicone on the front of this carb. I don't know if that's because something wore away there or what. I'm afraid to peel that off. We'll get the bowl off and look and see if we see anything on the other side. It might indicate why that's caked with silicone. It don't want to come off. There we go. Ooh. Some old gas in there. Oh yeah. A little varnish smell. Yeah, it's caked pretty heavily with it. Check out that main jet there. A little crusty. It's still, at least it's still wet though, so it's not rock hard. Yeah, that float valve stuck in there too, I could see. I'm going to try to pop the float off. Try to gently move this aside. There we go. Yeah, it's stuck in there pretty good, I'd say. So definitely go in the ultrasonic here. I just want to see if I can get some of these jets removed. So it looks like this pilot is pressed in there. I had a XL 125 that had the same style setup where this was pressed in. I should be able to just pop that out of there. Just gently pull on it. I just want to double check that. See if that's the correct way of doing it. Wow, that's really crusty. There we go. Main jet's out. Get this tube cleaned up. I'll take out the, that's the air screw, or the fuel screw right there. See how many screws out we are with that right now. So we are another screwdriver. It's one turn. Two turns. Three turns. So about 3 1/4. So we're gonna take this all the way out. 3 1/4 turns out from full stop. That's where we were at. There's a screw or spring in there. That's it for that. Okay. Just gotta get this float valve out of here. Gently pull up on this. Just gonna put a little bit of PB Blaster on there. We'll let that sit a while and come back here in a little bit, see if I can pull that out, and then we'll get this dunked into the ultrasonic. All right, so put a little bit of heat to it with the heat gun and let that penetrant oil sit on there a little longer. And looks like it's budging now. There we go. Ooh, yeah. Pretty crusty. Either way, we're going to throw this in the ultrasonic, and along with all this other little bits and pieces, and we'll come back to it here once that's done. So I sprayed this down with a little bit of carburetor cleaner just to try to loosen it up before it goes into the ultrasonic, and you can see the thickness of this. It's turned to gelatin. So that's what was holding in the float valve. And it still has quite a bit of that junk on there, so I'm going to clean this off a little bit more. And into the bath it goes. All right, we just pulled it out of the ultrasonic and got pretty clean here. As you can see, there's some leftover junk in there I just had to scrape off, and ran it under water to get some of the stuff that was kind of sticking to the walls off. But came out pretty clean. Started blowing some carb cleaner through all these passages for the idle air circuit and all the jets. You can see I got some daylight through all those holes. So I ended up getting that pilot out. It was just pressed in there, so I got a little vice grips, just grabbed onto it gently and it came right out. So that was clogged up. I have the jets soaking in the bowl right now with some carb cleaner on it to try to loosen up the junk that's in those jets still. And I'll probably get a piece of wire, fine wire, and run it through there once I let that soak a little bit and try to soften that up. All right, we got all the jets cleaned up. After soaking in the carb cleaner, I got all the passages opened up. See if you can see daylight through that one. Yeah. So that's the pilot jet there. That was completely clogged up. And we're all opened up on that one now. We got the main jet that's opened. And we still got all the passages opened up here. So I'm going to put this back together. Okay, we got all the jets in, floats on. I was able to test the float valve, and it's not stuck. It's working as it should. So all that's left is to turn out the fuel screw. I think we said it was 3 1/4 turns out from full stop. There's 1, 2, 3 1/4. So my guess is the fuel tank was probably drained, and maybe the bike was run till it died with whatever was left in the carburetor. There was just a little bit of a coating in that bowl that was enough to make it pretty sludgy in there. All right, we got the carb back on the bike. I'm probably going to have to get a different fuel line, like I said, because this one's kind of stiff and brittle. So before I hook any of that stuff up, I'm going to take a look at the throttle, just because this was stuck. It should be good now, but before I start twisting it, I want to try to lube up the cable a little bit. All right, I got the throttle apart here, and I'm just putting a little bit of oil down right where the throttle cable goes into that housing. Let that run down. And I cleaned off the handlebar. There's a lot of junk on right here, right where the throttle tube slides. So I'm going to continue feeding some oil down through this tube in the housing, and we'll put this back together and see how the throttle works. And we got good throttle action again. Okay, I think getting a little bit closer here to starting it up. Also lubed up the front brake cable. We got that working good again. All right, before we try to start it, I'm going to drain the oil out of this thing. See if we can get a shot of that drain bolt, which is right there. That's a 17 millimeter. I'm going to pop that off and get some fresh oil in here before we attempt the first start. It's pretty black. I've seen worse though. Doesn't smell too bad. Okay, we got the old oil out, and this motor calls for a little over 1.5 quarts. I'm gonna put some 10W40 in there and check the level here once we get this in, see if we have to add any. Okay, we got the bike upright, and you're supposed to just lay this dipstick right in there. Don't screw it down. And check the level here. Oh yeah, we're good. We're right at the top of the X's. Sweet. Now I think I'm gonna get some gas into that carburetor, give her a couple kicks, see what happens. All right, I got the IV hooked up to the carburetor just because I don't have a fuel filter yet to put in between the tank and the carburetor through the petcock. I'm not even sure if this is gonna work yet. This was kind of crusty on here. I was able to get some oil in there to free this up because this was stuck. So I don't know if that's gonna leak yet, but just wanted to get gas to the carb to make sure none of this stuff leaks. Make sure that float does what it's supposed to. And we're gonna give it some kicks. I'm gonna turn this on now. And we'll see if we get any leaking here. Here it comes. Make sure that float doesn't get stuck. Nothing comes out of the overflow. Okay, that's good. All right. So I'm gonna hook a battery up again on the terminals just to get a little bit of charge to the coil, and we're gonna kick it over, see what happens. Okay, we got juice, got the ignition, neutral lights on. Okay, here we go. Choke on. 3 kicks. This thing hasn't been running over 30 years. Unbelievable. Let's try with a little bit of choke. Wow. This thing has not run since, I think, 1990. Pretty awesome. Now that is typical Honda quality. This bike has sat, I think, for the last 34 years. Just the fuel system really needed cleaned up, and a battery on it, and it's all it needed. A couple kicks and it fired right up. Still got many things to address, of course. We got this taillight flopping around. It's just a cosmetic thing. Seemed like all the turn signals worked. I had a headlight. I didn't check the brake light when I was when I had it running, but everything else was working just fine. So obviously we're waiting for the air filter to come in yet. So it ran without that, so it's leaned out a little bit. Yeah, she's running smooth. So I'm going to clean up some stuff on here too. I'm going to try to get some polish on this chrome a little bit, clean that up, make it a little shinier. Clean up some of the tar that I see. It might have been splashed up on this motor from the road. Looks like there's some on the fender there too. We'll get the rim shined up a little bit. There's a lot up on the front here too. And then eventually I'll get some air in these tires, even though they're really old. and just make sure it shifts through the gears up and down the road, hopefully in the next video. I'm sure he's going to want to replace these. So we'll be taking the wheels off at some point and getting a look at the brakes and all that. But whenever I take it for a little ride, got to see how they feel. And like I said, the inside of the tank is really clean, so I'm just waiting for a fuel filter, and I'm going to get a new hose on here too to just fill up the fuel tank. And just in case there's any junk in there, the fuel filter will take care of that. Got new spark plugs coming. They throw this cap back on, so we're all good there. All right, well, thanks for watching. I knew this would probably be a pretty straightforward revival with this bike, since it was stored in such a good climate. It wasn't sitting outside, and there was like no fuel in the tank. So really the carburetor was in the worst shape, and it wasn't even really that bad. It was just a little gummed up. So stay tuned. Next video, like I said, hopefully I'll have it outside riding it up and down the road a little bit. It's got to get a battery, which is also coming in the mail. This is not the correct battery. This was just to get a little bit of a charge on there. And I guess we'll be able to test out the electric start too. This thing does have electric start. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.